Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Pawn Stars viewers are in complete shock over some shocking news we have today. The popular star of the popular reality program, Rick Harrison, received a life sentence. Yes, exactly. You heard it right. The guy who is well known for his astute commercial acumen and deep understanding of antiques is currently involved in an unexpected and startling judicial battle. What happened? How could a man who built a fortune from a pawn business end himself in such a dire situation? To ensure you don't miss any of our most recent updates, please like and subscribe if these developments have astounded you as much as they have us. Please share your opinions on this startling tale by leaving a comment below. American TV personality and entrepreneur Richard Harrison, best known by his stage name Rick Harrison, was born in Lexington, North Carolina, on March 22, 1965. There were several obstacles in his way of getting well known on Pawn Stars. He was raised in San Diego, California, when his family relocated there when he was just 2 years old. But Rick had difficulties in his early years. After being diagnosed with epilepsy at the age of 8, he read a lot and frequently skipped school. He gained a remarkable understanding of history during these self-educational times, which would later prove to be a valuable skill in his professional life. He left school in the 10th grade due to health concerns, but rather of viewing it as a setback, he used it as motivation to further his education, particularly in history and business. Rick started collaborating on many business endeavors as a youngster with his father, Richard Benjamin Harrison, often known as the Old Man. He improved his capacity to assess the authenticity and worth of objects as a result of this experience, which would be essential to his future profession. Kim, Rick's girlfriend, became pregnant at the age of 17, and the two decided to tie the knot. Corey and Adam were their 2 sons. However, they got divorced in 1981 after 8 years of marriage. When Rick's father opened the gold and silver coin store in Las Vegas, Nevada, Rick and his family moved there. The store was formally renamed the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop in 1989. This was the famous pawn shop that would eventually serve as the primary location for Pawn Stars. Rick and his father had to deal with difficult clients and even hazardous circumstances throughout their early years, which made them difficult. However, because of his extensive understanding of antiques and historical relics, Rick was able to use these struggles to establish a solid name in Las Vegas. Tell your friends about this news if you find it alarming so that everyone is aware of it. Remember to press the notification bell to receive updates on our most recent videos. We'll work together to keep you updated on all the case's developments as well as Pawn Stars' future plans. Rick began thinking about the possibility of a reality TV program to highlight the day-to-day activities of the store after seeing the entertainment potential in the pawn sector. He was refused at first, but he persisted. He persisted for years before landing a contract with the History Channel in 2009, marking the formal launch of Pawn Stars. With its rich historical tales, unique antiques and transactions, the show allowed viewers an intimate insight into the world of pawns. It included Rick, his father, Old Man Harrison, his good buddy Austin Chumley Russell, and his son Corey Big Hoss Harrison. They frequently engaged in heated discussions as they assessed, purchased, sold and traded priceless historical artifacts. Pawn Stars quickly gained popularity, making Rick a TV celebrity when he had previously owned a small pawn store. He immediately became a fan favorite thanks to his straightforward communication style, astute negotiation abilities, and extensive knowledge. Every time Rick made his last bid on an item, his famous slogan, "The best I can do is," became a defining moment. In addition to being entertaining, Pawn Stars had educational value since each episode included intriguing historical context on the objects that were brought into the store. This special combination made the show one of the History Channel's most notable shows, appealing to a wide range of viewers from children to adults. Under Rick's direction, the pawn shop swiftly gained international recognition as a famous tourist attraction. In addition to having the opportunity to participate in episodes, fans came to witness the major events live. The shop's profits thus skyrocketed, resulting in other business endeavors such as the opening of restaurants and the sale of books and souvenirs. Rick was more well-known than most stars. Include speaking engagements at corporate gatherings, interviews with prominent periodicals, and appearances on a variety of TV shows. Many have been impressed by his entrepreneurial career and commercial ability. Rick Harrison was the driving force behind Pawn Stars' success, and gained notoriety for his astute commercial acumen, but also for his direct and practical leadership style. He frequently played the cool-headed character on the program, reining in Chumlee's pranks and his son Corey's impetuous choices. Rick Harrison has written his own incredible success narrative, starting as a young child who left school because of epilepsy, and ending as a TV personality and wealthy businessman. Rick is unquestionably the driving force behind the show's success, even though its stars may continue to change. There was more than the usual father-son attachment between Rick Harrison and his father, Richard "Old Man" Harrison. It was one that had been developed over many years of collaboration. In addition to starting the gold and silver pawn store together, they also had a business concept based on intellect and honesty. Rick continued to operate the company with the principles his father had taught him when Old Man died away in 2018. Respecting the legacy of the family, Rick has had highs and lows in his personal life despite his success with Pawn Stars. He married Tracy Harrison after his first marriage failed, and the two of them were together for 27 years before getting divorced in 2011. In a unique ceremony conducted by Danny Coker, star of Counting Cars, Rick wedded Deanna Birdie 2 years later. Chumlee was the ring bearer. Rick seldom discusses his wife and kids on the show, but when he does, it shows that he is a loving family guy who always tries to strike a balance between his personal life, career, and notoriety. Pawn Stars wasn't the last thing that Rick Harrison did. Next to the gold and silver pawn shop in Pawn Plaza, he opened Rick's Rollin' Smoke BBQ and Tavern, further growing his economic empire. He co-wrote License to Pawn Deals, Steals and My Life at the Gold and Silver in 2011, which included behind-the-scenes accounts of his life and work as a shrewd businessman. Rick keeps expanding his business endeavors and building his brand while constantly seeking out new chances. Thousands of transactions on Pawn Stars, ranging from precious antiquities to vintage autos and historical papers, have demonstrated Rick's aptitude for item appraisal. Despite his extensive knowledge, Rick shows prudence and business acumen by consulting specialists when confronted with topics outside of his field of expertise. A 2001 New England Patriots Super Bowl championship ring was one of his most notable acquisitions. It was purchased for $20,600 and subsequently appreciated in value. A collection of Spanish gold coins found in a shipwreck from 1715 was another noteworthy transaction that demonstrated Rick's intense interest in history and priceless antiques. Rick's life hasn't always been easy, even with his tremendous success. Fans and people close to him were shocked when he suddenly became the subject of a government inquiry in 2023. Rick's house and gold and silver pawn business in Las Vegas were the subject of a thorough investigation by FBI agents, IRS investigators and Department of Cultural Heritage Protection personnel. A scenario straight out of a movie was depicted by witnesses at the business, where staff and customers were being held while agents confiscated laptops, papers, and various items. Corey Harrison, Rick's son, who was there at the incident, subsequently said that everything happened so quickly that it was almost unbelievable. As further information about the event became available, a surge of conjecture was sparked by the video footage that soon went viral on social media, showing Rick being led out of his house by Secret Service officials. Authorities are looking into claims of money laundering, the selling of possibly illegal items, and a complex tax avoidance plan. These claims are based on complaints from a number of former business partners and questionable transactions that banking institutions have identified. Rick has maintained his composure in the face of intense public scrutiny, carrying on with his business while he awaits the investigation's conclusions. Rick Harrison is unquestionably one of the most significant reality TV personalities, notwithstanding the difficulties. Rick's path from a bookish youngster to a prosperous businessman and Pawn Star idol is a real monument to brilliance, tenacity, and the capacity to overcome any obstacle. The History Channel temporarily stopped making Pawn Stars in the weeks after the raid, issuing a brief statement stating that they were keeping an eye on the matter but would decide when additional details were revealed. The gold and silver pawn store continued to operate, although fewer people visited because of Rick Harrison's legal issues. Representatives for Rick swiftly denied any misconduct, claiming that the probe was only a misunderstanding that will be settled shortly. The public was told by Rick's lawyer, David Marshall, a well-known Las Vegas lawyer with expertise defending famous clients, that Rick had always run his company evenly and in strict adherence to the law. Unsettling information started to come to light as the inquiry went on. Rick was allegedly part in a complex operation to purposefully undervalue some historical objects in order to save taxes, while covertly selling them at their real market value in private deals, according to evidence that authorities claimed to have. Rick was also charged by investigators with buying stolen treasures from museums and private collections, as well as priceless historical papers, through middlemen. According to court documents, Rick's former employee chose to come forward, which started the inquiry. This person gave information regarding a different accounting system that was used to document private transactions that Rick reportedly wanted to conceal from the official records, and claimed to have been directly engaged in the acquisition of a number of valuable things. Rick was taken into custody soon after, but the next day he was freed on bond and appeared in court. Tax evasion, money laundering, trafficking stolen property, and conspiracy to purchase and sell historical treasures unlawfully were among the main charges brought against him. The prosecution's pressure grew progressively as lawyer David Marshall persisted in claiming his client's innocence. A number of pieces of evidence were submitted during the almost year-long trial. At first, Rick vehemently disputed every accusation, but his circumstances worsened as former co-workers started to testify against him. A variety of bank records, encrypted communications, and statements from former workers who said Rick had given them instructions to falsify records in order to hide significant transactions were all produced by the prosecution. A set of exchanges between Rick and an unidentified source, in which Rick reportedly discussed how to remove the provenance of an 18th century document thought to have been taken from a university archive, was one of the most startling pieces of evidence. According to another discussion, Rick was allegedly preparing to set up transactions in order to get around the need to declare significant cash transfers. Rick maintained his position when he appeared on a number of television shows, especially those with a conservative bent, in spite of the growing pressure from the trial. He said that he was the target of a campaign designed to destroy Pawn Stars' popularity and his image. In order to voice their displeasure with the way the case was being handled, many of Rick's fans banded together, holding rallies outside the courtroom and coining hashtags like #HeyTFrick. A portion of the public was greatly shocked by Rick's demise since his television persona, as a shrewd but uncomplicated businessman, was suddenly eclipsed by legal issues. Even legal experts were taken aback by the eventual ruling. The courtroom became quiet as the judge read the punishment. Rick, who had maintained his composure during the trial, became pale when he heard the decision. Rick's longtime buddy Chumley hurried out of the courtroom in tears, as his son Corey sat behind him with his head in his hands. The judge emphasized that the punishment not only represented the financial crimes, but also acted as a consequence for the irreversible harm to cultural and historical property that Rick had contributed to. Some experts felt that the sentence was excessively harsh, given the allegations. Despite the case's notoriety, a lot of devoted followers still think Rick is deserving of pity. They established social media support groups, emphasizing that Pawn Stars has been essential in enabling viewers to engage with history in a more compelling manner than previously, regardless of the result. One admirer said, "Rick taught me to love history in a way that school never could. We shall now demonstrate to him that we will always remember the positive things he did for us." During the sentence, the court said, "Mr. Harrison, you have portrayed yourself to the American public as a guardian of history, someone who cherishes our shared heritage and values artifacts. In actuality, you have participated in a criminal organization that has systematically looted and destroyed valuable cultural assets for your own benefit. The gravity of these acts cannot be disregarded by the court." The courtroom reverberated with these stirring remarks, marking the formal conclusion of Rick Harrison's remarkable career as a Pawn Stars mainstay. Rick's legal team appealed the conviction straight away, claiming that because the offense was non-violent, the penalty was excessively severe and infringed upon his civil rights. Additionally, they asked that Rick be released on bond until the appeal, but this motion was turned down. The picture of Rick being led in handcuffs out of the courthouse swiftly took center stage in news reports and on social media. The public's response soon became mixed. Numerous devoted followers of Rick expressed doubt, implying that there was a problem with the case, and that Rick had turned into a scapegoat for a more significant problem in the artifact trade. Historians and specialists in cultural heritage, on the other hand, defended the severe penalty, arguing that it was an essential measure to stop the illicit trafficking in historical items. In response, the Hearts for Harrison movement was started by Rick's fan base, which amassed over 100,000 signatures demanding that the decision be reviewed. "We acknowledge that Rick could have erred, but this punishment is unfair." Melissa Jenkins, the campaign organizer, declared it to be retaliation. "It is unfair to give someone a life sentence for a non-violent offense. We encourage everyone to contribute to Rick's legal money, or join the petition. He may have a fair chance in his plea with every prayer, encouraging letter, and little donation." Corey Harrison, Rick's son, also expressed his opinions. "Even if my dad made faults, he shouldn't be sentenced to death in jail. He need to be given an opportunity to put things right." Rick was swiftly cut off from the History Channel, which formally canceled Pawn Stars and eliminated all reruns from its schedule. The network released a formal statement expressing its profound dissatisfaction with Rick's behavior, while restating its dedication to safeguarding and honoring cultural heritage. Rick Harrison was not just well known in the reality TV industry prior to his legal issues, but he was also a savvy businessman who established a huge empire that went well beyond the gold and silver pawn store. Even though fewer people visited the store following the controversy, it was still a well-liked location in Las Vegas. Corey tried to reposition the store by stressing openness in all transactions in an effort to win back the public's confidence, and working together to encourage ethical collecting with educational institutions and museums. 6 months after Rick's conviction, Corey addressed the problems brought up during the trial, and talked about the difficulties of running the family business in an emotional interview. Strict verification procedures have been put in place for each transaction. He reaffirmed, "What happened was an error, and we're dedicated to being a part of the solution, not the problem." Austin Chumley Russell, who saw Rick as a mentor and father figure, likewise had conflicting feelings. In a podcast interview, Chumley said, "I've learned a lot from Rick, the solid business principles that I'll carry with me for life. However, I also have to acknowledge that he had a side that I was blind to, or perhaps didn't want to see." The Harrison family's current priorities include helping Rick go through the appeals process, repairing their image, and securing the survival of the venerable pawn business. Given his impetuous nature on Pawn Stars, many were startled when Corey took over the company. But because to his financial sense, Corey has shown that he can lead the family through these trying times. In a recent press release, "My dad said that the support from his followers has been a great source of strength." According to Corey, he reads all of the correspondence he gets, and finds comfort in the knowledge that the Harrison family is still supported at this trying time. Every Sunday, the family has been hosting prayer meetings in front of the pawn store, where devoted supporters congregate to express their solidarity with Rick. To make former viewers happy, the family invites anyone who can't go to Las Vegas to send cards, letters, or even pawn famous memorabilia. For someone going through the worst period of their life, small actions like that mean a lot, Corey said. Corey thinks the gold and silver pawn store can overcome the obstacles. "I learned everything I know about this industry from my dad. I'm constructing on the moral principles Dad taught me. This store has been a part of Las Vegas for more than 30 years, and even though we've made some serious mistakes, I'm committed to make sure it stays that way for at least another 30. From a modest asset trader to a prosperous businessman, reality TV personality, and now a lifer, Rick Harrison's path is absolutely amazing. This abrupt shift in circumstances demonstrates how swiftly things may go wrong, especially when one is under the intense scrutiny of celebrity. Cultural analysts have compared Rick's demise to a Shakespearean tragedy, in which a person with extensive historical knowledge eventually used the very things he formerly held in high regard as weapons that finally brought him to ruin. Today, Rick's experience serves as a warning about the perils of success and the thin line separating ethical business practices from illegal activity. In addition to shocking the reality TV community, this abrupt turn of events has put his family business in jeopardy because it no longer has the charismatic leader it once did. Rick Harrison needs all the help he can get at this trying time. If you appreciate Rick's contributions throughout the years, and you're a Pawn Star fan, you might like to send him prayers, encouraging words or happy thoughts. Fans may submit notes to Rick in prison via a unique website that the Harrison family has put up. The family claims that getting these comments from fans has given him a lot of strength during this trying time. In the hopes that each message may help Rick through this trying time, the website also offers an address for sending encouraging letters. According to a family statement, Rick has always appreciated the Pawn Stars audience, and is aware that your ongoing support is more important than ever. Unprecedented developments in the reality television sector continue Rick Harrison's quest. We'll keep you informed about this startling situation, which not only impacts a single person but also changes the family company, and calls into question what success means to the general public. A potent lesson about life's unforeseen turns and the temptations of prosperity may be learned from Rick Harrison's narrative. Even if his current situation is unexpected, Pawn Stars has undoubtedly had a significant influence on its followers. We'll have to wait and see whether Rick can clear his name and return, or whether Pawn Stars' legacy can flourish under his son Corey's supervision. As we continue to pursue this story, stay tuned. Additionally, remember to leave a comment below the video with your ideas.